Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you've all been having a wonderful week. I have been very busy packing and planning. I've got a few things on the horizon that I'm organising and getting ready for. I'm looking forward to being able to share that with you. But for those of you who are new here, hi, my name is Bethany.veugen and this is Toxic Tuesdays, where we talk about toxic plants that you may or may not have in your backyard and we learn a little bit more about them. So welcome to the video. Let's get started. Alright, so for today's video we're looking at Hyoscymus niger, which is more commonly known as henbane, black henbane, or stinking nightshade, as it is a part of the nightshade family, Solanaceae. By the way, what do you guys think of my new intro? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, henbane is a herb that's found in two forms, an annual and a biennial. The annual grows in summer and reaches heights of about 30 to 60 centimetres before it flowers and seeds. The biennial, during the first season, will only produce a tuft of basal leaves. During winter, these leaves will disappear and it will leave behind a thick, underground, fleshy root. Come the following spring, the plant will produce a branching, flowering stem that can reach 1.5 metres tall. The stems and leaves of henbane are covered in fine hairs, and the whole plant has a prominent foul odour that has been likened to like a sickly fish kind of a smell, hence why it has the name stinking nightshade. The leaves are coarsely toothed and the showy flowers have 5 petals and range in colour from cream to a dark yellow. They have purple veins and a dark centre. The fruit of henbane is a capsule that can house up to 200 black seeds. Henbane is native to temperate Europe and Siberia and is naturalised to the British Isles. It is thought to encompass most of Eurasia from the Atlantic to China, and it thrives in Mediterranean countries such as Greece. It was originally brought to many locations around the world, including North America, for cultivation of its medicinal properties. Henbane grows best in sandy or well-drained loamy soils, but it does not tolerate waterlogged soils, which is why it can be found in disturbed open sites, roadsides, fields, waste places, and abandoned gardens. Henbane can cause a wide variety of symptoms, and that's due to the fact it has the same tropane alkaloids as other members of the nightshade family: atropine, scopolamine, and hyoscyamine. These symptoms include mydriasis, which is dilation of the pupils, tachycardia, which is an increased heartbeat of over 100 beats per minute, arrhythmia, which is an irregular heartbeat, agitations, convulsions and coma, dry mouth, thirst, slurred speech, difficulty speaking, dysphagia, which is difficulty swallowing, warm, flushed skin, pyrexia, which is an abnormally increased body temperature, nausea, vomiting, headache, blurred vision and photophobia, urinary retention, distension of the bladder, which is a swelling of the bladder causing the person to feel like they need to go to the bathroom, but there's nothing there to actually be released. Drowsiness, reflexia, which is overactivity of the reflexes, so like twitching, involuntary twitching, auditory, visual or tactile hallucinations, confusion, disorientation, delirium, aggressiveness, and combative behaviour. Now, poisonings can occur by accident, as henbane is actually still used as a medicinal source. The leaves are chopped and dried and used for ailments of the bone, rheumatism, toothache, asthma, cough, nervous diseases, and stomach issues. The leaves have also been used in incense and smoking blends, in the making of some beers and tea, and also in the flavourings of some wine. While most effects only last 3 to 4 hours, the after effects can last several days. The name Henbane has actually been able to be dated as far back as 1265 AD. Historically, it has been used in combination with other plants such as mandrake, deadly nightshade and datura as an anaesthetic potion for ill patients, but also for its psychoactive properties. Henbane was used to yield oracles by the priestesses of Apollo to provide wise and insightful counsel or prophetic predictions, notably precognition of the future, that was inspired by their deities. In 1250, St. Albert the Great reported in his work De Vegetalibus, that necromancers used Henbane to invoke the souls of the dead as well as demons. At the time, the term necromancy covered the practitioners of magic and black magic, so witchcraft was included under this particular term. Henbane was already being demonized in the late Middle Ages when the association between witchcraft and black magic became inseparable. Witches were said to use Henbane in ointments, conjuring spirits, and changing the weather. If there was a drought, a stalk of henbane would be dipped into a spring and then sprinkled across the dry land, which would then stop the drought. Henbane was also an ingredient in gruit, a herb mixture that was used for the bittering and flavouring of beer until hops replaced it in the 11th to 16th centuries. In fact, the Bavarian Purity Law in 1516, which was a series of regulations that limited the ingredients in beer in Germany and the states of the former Roman Empire, actually outlawed all ingredients in beer production aside from barley, hops, yeast, and water. In 1966, a German scientist called Michael Schenk experienced a hallucination after breathing in the smoke from burning henbane seeds. He was able to note his physical symptoms as well as his hallucinogenic experiences. So I'm going to read this out word for word on the paper that I have here. So for his physical symptoms, he wrote, "The henbane's first effect was purely physical discomfort. My limbs lost certainty, pains hammered in my head, and I began to feel extremely giddy. I went to the mirror and was able to distinguish my face, but more dimly than normal. It looked flushed, and must have been so. I had the feeling that my head increased in size. It seemed to have grown broader, more solid, heavier, and I imagined that it was enveloped in a firmer, thicker skin. The mirror itself seemed to be swaying, and I found it difficult to keep my face within its frame. The black discs of my pupils were immensely enlarged, as though the whole iris, which was normally blue, had become black. Despite the dilation of my pupils, I could see no better than usual. Quite the contrary. The outlines of objects were hazy. The window and the window frame were obscured by a thin mist." So that's his physical symptoms. His hallucinations, on the other hand, are a whole different ballgame. So for his hallucinations, he wrote, "My teeth were clenched, and a dizzy rage took possession of me. I was permeated by a peculiar sense of well-being connected with the crazy sensation that my feet were growing lighter, expanding and breaking loose from my body. Each part of my body seemed to be going off on its own, and I was seized with the fear that I was falling apart. At the same time, I experienced an intoxicating sensation of flying. I soared where my hallucinations, the clouds, the lowering sky, herds of beasts, falling leaves, billowing streamers of steam and rivers of molten metal, were swirling along. There were animals that looked at me keenly with contorted grimaces and staring, terrified eyes. There were terrifying stones and clouds of mist, all sweeping along in the same direction. They carried me irresistibly with them. Their colouring must be described, but it was not a pure hue. They enveloped in a vague grey light, which emitted a dull glow and rolled onward and upward into a black and smoky sky. I was flung into a flaring drunkenness, a witch's cauldron of madness. Above my head, water was flowing, dark and blood red. The sky was filled with herds of animals. Fluid, formless creatures emerged from the darkness. I heard words, but they were wrong and nonsensical, and yet they possessed for me some hidden meaning." And that was one very interesting trip. That is everything for the video, guys, on henbane. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know if you learned something new, if there's something you would like to add, or if there's a particular plant that you'd like me to do a video on. Leave it in the comments down below, and hit that like and subscribe button while you're there. Thank you so much, though, guys, for joining me for another week, and I look forward to seeing you all on the next Toxic Tuesday. Stay safe, guys. Have a lovely week, and keep on learning. Bye.